What's up, Ragin Nation? My name is Alex Yu and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. And last night I saw Safe House. Safe House is the latest movie starring Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds, and it is a movie about Denzel Washington plays a rogue CIA agent, and he is somebody that a lot of people want to kill. And so because of that, he gets interrogated in a safe house, which has Ryan Reynolds as a housekeeper. And Ryan Reynolds is a character who just is tired of his job. He wants to see some action, and he hasn't really done anything except stand behind a desk. And because of that, it makes him want to matter. Just like how Sam Witwicky wanted to matter in Transformers Dark of the Moon. I just had to add a Transformers reference in there. Anyways, so a bunch of bad guys want to kill Denzel Washington, and because of that, Denzel Washington reminds Ryan Reynolds that he is the housekeeper, and therefore his responsibility is to keep his house guests safe. Hence the name Safe House. So essentially what this movie is Ryan Reynolds trying to get Denzel Washington from point A to point B safely. And in doing so, he encounters a lot of obstacles which come in the form of some really awesome action. And I gotta say that this movie's really action-packed. The story is pretty decent. I think that's really just an excuse to give us some pretty slam-bang action. I haven't used that word ever in a sentence, but okay. And that's really all it is. There wasn't really anything that was too significant about the story, except for a twist that I'm not going to talk about, but it was a pretty cool twist in the movie. The characters I thought were also decent. We have Ryan Reynolds, who's a very conflicted type of character, because it's one of his more serious roles he's ever taken, because normally we see him in comedies and even in action movies. He's the comic relief. He's the wise-cracking, fast-talking type of one-liner kind of guy. And Denzel, well, Denzel plays Denzel. Every movie Denzel plays Denzel, and then he gets nominated for it. Okay, well, not every movie, but he just gets recognized for that. And that's still pretty cool because he was good in Crimson Tide. I liked him in Training Day, and he's one of my favorite actors. And in this movie, he does the same thing. He was pretty solid in this role. It's almost like you cannot not like Denzel because of that. Some people don't like Ryan Reynolds just because he plays the same type of character, but I think they'll be pleasantly surprised for the character he plays in this. I think he was very convincing as a housekeeper, and he looked really skilled as being part of the CIA. I like that they put a little bit of emotion in the movie, just because he does have a relationship where he had to hide his profession, and that was the human aspect of the movie. But what this movie really comes down to is the action. And honestly speaking, it's been a while since I've seen such a raw action film. I mean, this movie is basically action from beginning to end as soon as the movie starts. Sometimes it slows down, but still, once it starts up again, it just doesn't stop. And I'm gonna have to say that this movie was really, really entertaining for that alone. And I just thought, this is just a movie which uses a simple story to give us really big action. And that's what they did, but at the same time, the movie also gave us a twist, which I should have saw coming. But they did a really good job in covering that up. I kind of didn't see it coming, but I've seen movies like this where you don't expect it and then it comes, and I should have saw it, but it was good. It was definitely good. I'm glad I watched it. I originally thought that, oh, this is just going to be some average action flick, but it wasn't. They really took a lot of time into keeping us really entertained, and the director did a really good job in making the movie not only action-packed, but very violent. The movie is just shot very violent. The action sequences are really long, and they're not just like short 30-second gunfights. They're really long, and then they continue with a foot chase, then it leads onto a car chase, and then gunfights, and then hand-to-hand combat, and it's just really, really brutal. And then it kind of reminds me of the Bourne franchise. It definitely isn't better than the Bourne franchise, but the action really follows that same style where it's very violent and it's just shot and edited really quickly, but it works for this movie. And like I said before, it's been a while since I've seen such a raw action movie that just relies on such an insane amount of violence to keep the audience entertained. So I'm pretty happy with that. I was pretty satisfied with this movie. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. It's definitely a breath of fresh air to see a movie like this, which is grounded in reality as opposed to like sci-fi and fantasy. You know, the last action movie I saw was Underworld, and after that it was Haywire. But Haywire wasn't like a full-blown action movie. This was like a really like balls out action movie. So I'm glad to see something like this. So I give this movie a 7 out of 10. Very entertaining if you like action. Both actors did a great job. The story was decent, and I came out of the theater pretty satisfied. So 7 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Go check it out. If you enjoyed this review, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, and also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. If you have any questions for me, you can tweet them to me at Ragin Nation, and I'll get back to you by answering them on camera on Twitter Tuesdays. The next movie I'm going to be reviewing will be Act of Valor. My name is Alex Yu, and thanks for watching another episode of the Ragin Ronin Review. I'll see you next time. Peace. It could be a camera from far away, it could be a security camera, it could be like a news report from like a helicopter. So that's what makes this movie so brilliant, because we're not just confined to the protagonist's camera. Speaking of camera,